Hello, everyone. I've just returned from the theater and I just saw the new movie by Baz Lurhmann, EPiC, Elvis Presley in Concert. Unfortunately, I did not go to see it in IMAX. I wish I had, but I enjoyed it on the standard screen form anyway. And I'm going to talk about it now, but I want to tell you, stick around because when I discuss this movie, the beginning may throw you a little bit, may turn you off a little bit, but trust me, it gets better when I talk about it. Well, first of all, I went with a friend of mine, and my general feeling leaving the theater is it was good, a good film. Not great. I didn't think it was great, but it was good. But I want to tell you what I thought about it when I first started watching it. At first, I felt the first, I don't know, half hour plus, maybe it's hard to judge when you're actually in the theater. I thought it was kind of choppy, kind of like too quick, fast, a lot of montages going on. And it served in the beginning as another biography of Elvis, going through all the life of Elvis and checking every box. Let's tick off everything. Let's make sure we talk about him on the Ed Sullivan Show and doing his early shows, and make sure we talk about him when he went into the Army and then he came out of the Army and how he had to do the movies. And at first the movies weren't too bad with Jailhouse Rock, King Creole, Love Me Tender, but then they got silly and Elvis didn't like making the movies. And I just felt like I was watching the same old, only it was done too snappy, too quick, just to get to do it, just for the sake of doing it. And I was sitting there thinking, gee, am I going to be the only one that hasn't raved about this movie? Because a lot of Elvis fans, and I consider myself an Elvis fan, but I'm not an Elvis expert, mind you. Am I going to be the only one that's going to say that this wasn't really as all it's cracked up to be as everyone else is saying? I thought, I'm not going to really like this. And the first thing I was thinking as the movie was going on was, if I'm going to watch something like this, I think I preferred back in 1981 or so when the movie This Is Elvis came out. I think I like that better as a documentary or a biography. And I'm saying I kind of wanted more singing. I thought this was going to be Elvis in concert. I thought it was going to be more on stage later on. What's going on here? Well, they felt they had to go through that obligatory kind of stretch of Elvis. And this movie, by the way, is narrated by Elvis himself. He uses Elvis's own words and his voice to talk about his life. Sometimes I had to strain to understand what he was saying, but that could be the sound in the theater, but I won't go too much on that. So there I am worrying how this is going to go. And then, to me, once we get Elvis on stage, and he finishes his movie contract, and he's on stage in 1969 and the early 70s, we'll say, it gets better. And then as I'm watching it, it's like, okay, it's getting better, but I'm still not really getting bowled over by this. And then it got better and better and better and better. The more I watched, the more I was completely immersed in this. I'm talking about being immersed in Elvis Presley's magnetism, his charisma, his presence, his, yes, godlike aura that he gives off, and the power that he had over an audience, the way he's able to command that audience, and they love him. And not only that, we see Elvis loves his audience. Elvis always knew who he was. He knew who he was. He knew what he meant to people, I always felt. Elvis knew what he meant to people, and he absolutely was respectful and appreciative of his fans, and always helped them out and always treated them nicely. I dare say I don't think I've ever heard a negative story ever told about Elvis and his fans. And all this is starting to come through. The more we see Elvis do his thing, the more we see how he interacts with people. Elvis's sense of humor, he can be funny, Elvis. He was funny. And the way he interacts with his bandmates, the way he's interacted with the women who help him as the backup singers. I'm really getting into this by this time, and it really worked for me. Now, because I'm not an Elvis expert, I can't tell you how much new footage we've never seen before is in this. But I know for me, I've seen a good share of Elvis footage, and I know a little bit. And I saw a lot of things here that I hadn't seen before. I don't think I did. And I was appreciative of that. The music. Let me talk about the music. I think that at first, especially, I started noticing it was too brief. You play little bits of songs, little snippets, and like I said earlier, a montage like, it's all over the place. It's just like a bouncing all over and a little too quick, I think, for me. And I wanted to hear more of the music, but that also got rectified as the film went on. As time went on, I enjoyed seeing Elvis in the studio, singing a little bit of the Beatles Yesterday and Something, a little bit, but nice. And also on stage, him doing Little Sister and Get Back, a medley. Now, I'm mentioning Beatles songs here. It's not just because they're Beatles songs. I happen to love the song Little Sister. I love the way he incorporates Get Back with it. And then, of course, totally Elvis on his own, nothing to do with the Fab Four, is when Elvis is doing an amazing rendition of Burning Love. And, they put different times. You see Elvis singing Burning Love on stage here, maybe rehearsing it there. Throughout the film, his on-stage attire changes from a white suit to blue suit to red suit. And even though I said it's flashy and it goes quick, when you have the song playing over it, it's done well. Just one version of the song, Burning Love, and just different moments where he's singing it, but it all fits in beautifully the way it's voiced over it. It's wonderful. And then also the song Love Me, that I always like from Elvis. I love that segment, the Love Me segment. There's some humorous stuff in there too. I think that was the song where there's a certain gift from a member of the audience that Elvis kind of puts on his head. I think it's really a wonderful moment, so much fun. Suspicious Minds is another highlight. I remember thinking, I hope they show Suspicious Minds, and they did, and it really paid off. So my friend that I went to it, when we came out, he had the same experience as me. There were some things about it at first he wasn't too sure of, didn't care for, he didn't think it was so great, but then he wound up really enjoying it, and it paid off. But my friend said that he felt sad watching the movie, and I said, how do you mean sad? And he said, well, it reminded me of the good old days, the world that is no more. We do this with nostalgia. What happened to those days, and days when you had real singers providing real entertainment and talent from God, talent from above. What happened to those days? The crap that we have today, And I'm even going to add in there myself. What about the days when, as you see Elvis do, he goes down into the audience, walks around and kisses all the girls without fear of lawsuit, without any of those appreciative girls wanting to do anything to Elvis. They want to be kissed. They love it. He's their idol. No fear of any diseases, no fear of COVID or anything. Look, I know I'm going out on this. I'm not trying to make any kind of like a grandstand, but it's hard to resist. I know what my friend was talking about. It was kind of bittersweet indeed. So wound up enjoying it quite a bit at the end. Well, not just the end, the last half of it, or at least the last, 45 minutes, it wound up being well worth it. It reminded me of something else I want to say. My late friend, I have a late friend, Mike. My friend Mike and I have talked about him now and then. Some of you old timers here on my channel know. My friend and I were very close, and we used to go shop for records in New York City's Greenwich Village in the early 1980s. And he was an Elvis fanatic, and I was mostly a Beatles fanatic. So he would buy Elvis, and I would buy the Beatles. And he would have been in heaven seeing this movie, and I would have loved to have seen it with him. And a lot of times when it comes to Elvis, as much as I've come to really, really like Elvis and appreciate the King, and I'm happy to call him that. I'm happy to call Elvis the King. As much as I like that, I can't help thinking that partly of why I'm doing this is because I want to also remember my friend. Whenever I'm listening to Elvis, whenever I'm seeing a movie of Elvis, whenever I attend an event like this with Elvis, my friend Mike is on my mind the whole time. He's always on my mind, as the song goes. So I enjoyed it, but it was a little rough at the beginning, but good experience.